When you think of the pioneers of the technological age, do the only names that come to mind belong to men? Well, right here in the St. Louis area, you'll find a woman with a long, successful tech career and the company she founded to show for it.
Don't you love this? Can you, next to it, Greenspan hails the importance of the internet.
When it comes to information technology, Susan Elliott knows it all. She's the founder and chairman of the St. Louis-based IT services firm SSE. Computers have been the focus of her professional career since the days before the PC.
IBM was actively recruiting women for technical positions.
That was in the late 1950s.
They had violets on their brochures, which would be burned today if anybody did that.
For Elliott, who was born Susan Spurr, it was the perfect opportunity. A graduate of St. Louis's Mary Institute and Smith College in Massachusetts, she was a detail-oriented person who loved math. And as luck would have it, training was to be conducted in her native St. Louis.
We had 11 weeks of training, and that's 8 to 5 every day, homework every night. So I'm talking, this is heavy duty.
Back to school.
Back to school, indeed. They gave us the 10th week, 1 week on computers, and said the average person wouldn't need to know more than that because there weren't going to be that many.
The next 8 years were very fulfilling ones for the budding technologist. Starting out as a programmer, she was eventually tapped as an advisory systems engineer and addressed the needs of local companies including Brown Shoe and Anheuser-Busch. In 1961, Susan Spurr married Washington University Law School student Howard Elliott, Jr. But when she became pregnant, the expectant mother came up against IBM's maternity policy.
They thought we were so fragile that they told me I would have to go home at 6 months and sit and wait for 3 months. Well, I love my job. I wanted to work. My husband was just out of law school, so we needed me to work. Well, the bank downtown, First National Bank, wanted to hire me, my technical skills, but they had the same policy. So my husband, with his brand new law degree, incorporated me. The bank felt protected that they could hire a corporation, not a pregnant lady. And literally speaking, that's how I founded my business in 1966, March of 66.
System Service Enterprises Incorporated was in business initially for 4 years. The Elliots, who by then had a second child, moved to Washington, D.C., where Howard took a post in the Nixon administration. Meanwhile, Susan freelanced. The family returned to St. Louis in 1973. Susan went to work for the bank that gave SSE its first contract. But it would be several more years before she revived her company. The catalyst was a rarity in those days, a personal computer.
IBM came out with the first PC late 81, early 82. So this is very new on the market in 83. There was an Arts and Education Council auction here in St. Louis. And on the way out there, I said to we're looking at the list of items, said to my husband, can you imagine having a computer in your home? And we both, were in awe of that. Well, bless his heart, we're at the auction. He raises his hand. We get the PC for $4,000.
Ouch.
Can you imagine that? And I said, I'm going to revive my business. I was so excited. I was awake all night planning for what I would do.
Fortune smiled when Elliott was approached by the Ladue schools about training adults on IBM computers in the evenings. Together, they contacted area corporations about the service. From those beginnings, SSE has grown into a company known around the world for its expertise in e-learning, mobile learning, network infrastructure, and technology management. In SSE's lobby, there's a timeline Elliott created in 2008 to mark the 25th anniversary of the company's relaunch and Elliott's 50 years in technology. It's the basis of her book, Across the Divide, Navigating the Digital Revolution as a Woman, Entrepreneur, and CEO.
This is our 10th anniversary, which we celebrated at the Science Center.
Elliott no longer runs the day-to-day operations of SSE. Its president and CEO is daughter Elizabeth Elliott Niedringhaus. But Susan Elliott loves staying on top of the ever-evolving digital landscape. She demonstrated one of her latest acquisitions developed by another native St. Louisan, Jack Dorsey. It's called Square, and Elliott uses it at book signings by plugging Square into her iPhone.
So you can enter the cost of the book, $26.99, sales tax, $28.27, and then you swipe somebody's credit card, and then after you've swiped it, they get to sign their name, and then you send a receipt to either their email or their voicemail.
That is totally amazing.
And they get a receipt, and then it drops into my system also as a receipt. And if we go back out there from last night, here's a whole, I don't know if you can get up closely enough, but it says Square, 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 Square. Every purchase that was made last night drops into my email, and it accumulates. So by the end of the evening, I know how much I've made. It's really worked out beautifully.
The day before our interview, IBM announced a woman as its next CEO, a first for the company. Considering the circumstances under which Elliott left IBM, I asked if she ever thought such a day would come. She said she had no vision of the future, just that she's always loved to work. And Elliott recalled the encouragement she received in high school.
The next thing was the head of our school, which was the girls' school, Mary Institute at that time, told us we could go as far and as high and as wide as we wanted to. All we had to do was put our minds to it and do it. And I believed that, and I guess the rest is sort of history.